Welcome back to Holly's office.
We're tripping in Holly's office, which
We are, because again,
it's kind of small. You could trip in it pretty easily.
We're not moving in Holly's office so that we don't trip. There's that.
There you go.
Someone asked about our favorite plotting devices.
Now, many of you might have noticed if you've been watching these on a fairly regular basis, I don't do things like that.
Holly's not so much of a plotter.
I really truly consider myself more of a storyteller than anything else. A lot of those kind of things that other people get so serious about, GMC. I think I have GMC in all my books, but it's not something I actually
see. Some of us require structure,
right? And that it just doesn't work for me. I just started playing with a new idea, and I'm like, okay, here's how it's going to start. And I said, no, that's not how it's going to start. Here's how it's going to start, and I ended up with 3 ways for this story to start, and actually left them all in. Like, she told a page and a half of this is how it could have happened, this is how it could have happened, but this is how it did happen. And so I'm really liking it as not a plotting device, but as a device to a lot of her story unfolded without going into a big backstory dump.
Thank God.
But it was, I thought, a unique way, and I might end up getting to the end of this book and deciding it's not necessary.
Exactly.
But for right now, I really liked it because I met this character in a different sort of way. Almost through her fantasies, not illicit fantasies, but just like she's going through something difficult. And as she's going through this difficult things, she's thinking of other ways it could have unwound that wouldn't have been maybe as difficult.
As bad.
And so I'm like, but yeah, no, I don't do a lot of
me. And I'm not a complete plotter, but I am definitely a plotter, and definitely GMC, goal, motivation, and conflict. Love me, love me, love me. Some GMC, gotta know it, because that helps me a lot, and that helps me to know that helps me to know what needs to happen in a story. I like 3-act structure. So I do have wonderful Excel spreadsheets with that. I actually built this thing in my office. Well, no, it wasn't in my office. It was in my bedroom. And I built this big thing on my wall that I was going to use because I have been known to use 3x5 cards to do plotting and put them into the 3-act structure. So I built this giant 3-act structure thing on my wall with like washi tape down the wall to break off. Here's chapter 3, here's the midpoint, here's first act, second act, third act, all that stuff. And then use my index cards. This happens here, this happens here. And I like the index cards because you can move them around. So like, okay, no, wait, you know what? This does have to happen later. This should happen earlier, that kind of stuff. But I tend to do all that stuff and then have a jumping off point and then just go from there. And things change. Right. I will say, I do not get myself married to what I've written on the index cards. I do let the story dictate.
And if you are a writer or know a writer, we talk about being a seat-of-the-pants writer.
A pantser.
That's absolutely me. And to do what Susan just said would absolutely kill my ability to tell a story. And I need to know. I need to know more so I can tell the story. Yeah, no, I really love that unfolding, and for me that's half of the fun of telling the story. But
that's why I can't know too much, and that's why I say it's hysterical, because I'll have this whole thing and there'll be big gaps where there's nothing, there's no index cards there, and I'm like, well, I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'll find out. Right. I'll find out as I go, because they'll tell me, and the characters will tell me.
I think this is another occasion of finding out what works for you. Like, I know myself well enough to say that wouldn't work for me. And that's not saying that would never work for me. There might come an interest or a story and a time where I would need something that structured to tell a story I want to tell.
Right. It would depend on the story.
But to date, I have not found that story. And I frequently find myself writing things that I need at the end and the beginning without realizing I've done it. And so, again, that idea of storytelling and letting it come organically for me works. In a one-of-a-kind family. She mentions a one-off. I think I talked about this before here. A front porch. And if it was her front porch, here's what she would do with it. It was kind of like run down and dilapidated. And at the end of the story, the hero had heard her say something about it, how she liked this front porch, and went ahead and did it for her the way she envisioned it. And for me in that book, love was a front porch. The moment you knew he truly loved her was the moment that he made her dreams for this front porch come true.
It has to come, and there is that like I try to kind of, and what I kind of like to know is I like to know the big touch points, you know, like where am I heading and where's my black moment? Because that's what I'm heading for. We're heading for the black moment. And what's the black moment? But again, even that, I can change that. I told you the one, my one book that was my first book, which again, I'm not sure what I'm going to call that when I re-release it, or I'd say it now, but Harley, right? And I woke up one morning and she said to me, I'm in jail. And I said, what the heck do you mean you're in jail?
And you can have people talk in your head if you're a writer.
Our characters do talk to us. And she said, I'm in jail. And I said, what are you doing in jail? And she's like, and I said, how did you get in jail? Because like I had no plan. She was absolutely right. She was absolutely right. That was exactly where she needed to be. But she wouldn't tell me how she got there, so I had to figure that out. So,
but I think that's part of the magic of writing is finding those moments where, or
those are the best moments.
You go back and reread something and think, "Wow, that is a beautiful sentence," or "That is just a beautiful scene," or I don't remember doing that.
This doesn't suck.
Yeah, and you think I did that, and you can't even imagine how you did it.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Really, it really kind of is.
It's magic.
It really
Writing is magic. Books are magic.
We hope that as readers, you find them to be magical as well.
I hope so.
So, writers out there, plotters or pantsers? We'll see you next time.